4 French drivers at the French Grand Prix trying to win this on the final lap. The 3 wide again, Guillaume down the inside. Guillaume moves across, they're both in front of Milan and Pouget.
Before you know it, we find ourselves here in the very final race of the competition.
And then they see truck racing and they think, this is crazy, you know, these are 5-ton machines, 1200 horsepower brake.
Oh, look at that switchback. Oh, you can look and a drift to show off.
Gregory now, I love it. 10.5 minutes gone. Senna Lanson tries to go for the race lead.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Chaz Draycott Media and welcome to round 3 of the Tanso Racing Group GT3 Championship here from the legendary Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta in the United States. It's fantastic to be here for this one-off broadcast for this season, but the guys have invited us along for the 3rd round of the championship, which is well into its stride now for a great night of racing, and once again GT3 cars on the menu. It's going to be a brilliant night of racing, Ed, isn't it? And we've got myself, Chaz Draycott, and Ed May up here in the commentary box. And to be fair, Ed, we're quite well versed in GT3 cars these days, so we've got a decent amount of knowledge behind us to know just how they're going to perform, what cars are the ones you want to be in, and which cars you want to avoid. Mercedes.
Yes, definitely, Chaz, and it's a wonderful circuit to have our first broadcast for the Tanso Racing Group GT3 Championship, and it's a track that's going to demand a lot of the drivers, fast corners as well, a few slower ones that will really mix up the flow, especially when you come in towards the end of the lap. That chicane at the end of the back straight is going to be a real action zone, but I'm just looking forward to really sinking my teeth into this and seeing exactly how the action is going to shape up, because we're now just right towards the end of qualifying, so we have some picture of how they're going to line up, and at the moment Scott McFall has set the fastest time of the session so far.
He absolutely has, and he's in one of the wonderful Porsche 911 and 992 GT3Rs. This fantastic latest iteration of the 992 is just an absolute beast by Porsche, and it's certainly a dominant force all over the world, whether it be in sim racing or in real-world motorsport as well. It's a Porsche 1-2 at the moment with Nilto Carvalho in 2nd position, and someone that we've commentated on before, actually. It is Matthias Pentela, the Finnish driver, currently in 3rd place, one of the RD Simsport drivers, which is good to see tonight. RD Simsport taking the championship on our channel before, actually, in the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge. So it's great to see the boys out in force again tonight, but it's also very good to see a decent spread of cars, actually. We've sort of fallen in love slightly with the Ferrari of late, and it's good to see a bunch of them, but it's also decent to have the big beefy BMW M4 GT3 out there on track as well, isn't it?
It really is great to see, and yeah, like you mentioned, there's some familiar faces out on the circuit, which is good for us, obviously, but I'm looking forward to seeing some of the more unfamiliar names and seeing exactly how they'll be able to get on with some of our more recognisable games, at least for us in the commentary scene. Some of these drivers we have seen around in various other leagues and various other communities as well. But it is great to be on board, isn't it, for the one-off here for the Tanso Racing Group. And just a little fresher off the format for tonight, if you are just joining us and obviously seeing this for the first time. This is a 15-minute qualifying session followed by just one single 45-minute race, basically same as the standard sort of IMSA
Yes.
sprint race format, essentially. 45 minutes with a pit stop in the middle.
I was going to say there's a mandatory pit stop in the race as well, which is going to throw the cat amongst the pigeons, because it's obviously an extra element of the race for the drivers to think about. You've got the idea of obviously pit lane entry, where you have to be careful not to speed. You have the actual stopping in the box as well, which we've seen drivers get wrong countless times before, and then not speeding on pit lane exit as well. You have to really have your wits about you not to sort of get ahead of yourself and plant it straight out of the box and then obviously overstep that mark with the speed. So yeah, a lot more for the drivers to think about. It's great to see some more Lamborghinis out there as well. The Huracan GT3 Evo making a cracking noise with the 5.2 litre V10 in the back of it. But we've seen in other championships as well, it's a bit of an unstable car at times. It doesn't like the curbs as much, and Road Atlanta is a circuit that, well, it's riddled with them, isn't it?
Yeah, it's especially the first sector. When you come through turn 1, it's going to be all right. But then as soon as you start to make your way down the hill through the consecutive sweeping corners right and left, that's when you can get that direction change on the downhill that can really unsettle the balance of the Lamborghini. I know especially one of the most difficult corners in that car specifically is Pouhon at the Spa-Francorchamps circuit,
yes.
because you're just trying to carve it through, and on the downshift when slowing down and trying to pitch the car through, that's when it'll try and break away from you. You get a similar feel of the car, the rear end getting light as you're going down through those S's.
Ooh, there was a bit of naughty contact there between the number 90 machine of John Kenny and your own Pigments, who we see here. He's just had a little bit of a touch, and that's going to give him an invalidated lap, I think, for this qualifying session. We have 30 cars on the grid tonight as well, so quite a beefy grid. Hello to White Van Gaming in the chat. Ben Chalcraft saying, me, the 13th Duke of Wyborn, here on Chaz Draycott Media at 8:30 on a Friday. With my reputation, highly irregular, but gentlemen, do carry on. Well, it's good to see you, Ben, regardless of whatever joke you're trying to make that's just gone over my head. Good lord, Ed, we have a Hooters Ferrari on the circuit. Well, there's a change in the vibe on the channel. Flipping heck. It looks great, though, don't get me wrong, but certainly something different to what we've seen in the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship before, which we've also broadcasted here. And that's where our knowledge of the GT3 cars has come from, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Very eye-catching aroma. Well, this is one that's just
Oh
suddenly
my
calling out a
good
face
God.
full of whatever that creature is. I haven't even got the foggiest.
It's isn't it Grimace?
It looks like a very hyper-realistic Grimace if it is. Flipping heck.
Yeah, I think hyper-realistic isn't the way you want to go with something like that on the car. It's pretty terrifying. Fernando Matos crosses the line in the Porsche. The Brazilian driver just goes 20th fastest. Got Peter Sikdar on a lap. We've commentated on Peter before in a couple of events, and oh dearie me, that's a bit of curse of the commentator as Peter spins the Lamborghini at the end of the lap and doesn't put a valid time on the board. So, qualifying all done with. As Ed has rightly mentioned, one 45-minute race here, and it looks like we're going to get a full formation lap. I've just seen the safety car basically just spawn in on the grid ahead of everybody, so we'll have to wait for the drivers to make their way to said grid. We've got time to read this one out, though, tonight. We've got Scott McFall, pole position for him. He'll be over the moon with that one. A really, really solid time as well. He actually takes the pole position by a good couple of tenths, actually. He's done a really, really solid job there, and to be fair, with the spread of the talent in the field, it's mighty close all the way through. I suppose that's one of the best things about a league like this, though, Ed, is the fact that you've always got somebody to fight against, haven't you? You've always got someone to battle with and a driver on a similar level, you know, that you can just have that door-to-door racing with, because, as we've discussed before, it's not always about the results. Sometimes you can finish, well, like I often did, in sort of 29th position and still enjoy yourself with a good night's racing behind you.
Yeah, definitely. And you can sort of pick the targets that you like to set yourself. Some drivers like to go for a podium, some try and get top 5, some in the top 10, top half, top 20. It's all about trying to figure out where your pace is, and then you can sort of set benchmarks to try and meet every single round of the championship, because then you know if you're going to be having a successful time or not. And like you say, with competition up and down the field, it does provide some excitement for every driver, because it's not just those that get on the podium that are going to be happy. It's going to be those that can try and beat the targets that they set for themselves as well.
Absolutely. So as mentioned, it's Scott McFall on pole position. The Scottish driver beats Matthias Pentela by 0.2 of a second exactly. Then it's Nilton Carvalho and Daniel Wareham on the second row of the grid. I was told that Daniel was going to be one of the quick guys tonight. Frederik Rijsdijk is next up in the number 707 machine, with Barry Cutting alongside him on the third row. Ryan Dudley and Martin Shirley make up the fourth row of the grid, with Craig Corish and Mark Brown completing the top 10. I believe Mark Brown is MB Media, who's done a few broadcasts for the guys on their GR86 championship before. We've then got Byron DeBello in the 296 machine. He's alongside Rob Sutherland. There's another familiar name. Andy White joins Jamie Dengle on the 7th row of the grid, with Scott Brown and Peter Duke on row 8. Harry Hartley-Price is in 17th alongside Adrian Hadfield. Dan Taylor and Fernando Matos, the Brazilian driver, completes the top 20. Then it's Sean Clark and Stuart Brierley. I believe it's Sean Clark that's the guy that runs this championship actually for Tanso. Then it's Terry Atkinson and Jeroen Pigmans in the number 1 machine. He starts 24th. Jay Rooney is in 25th place with Vincent Vaught alongside him. John Johnston is 27th with Peter Sikdar on row 14 with him. And then the final 2 drivers on the grid, Dave Clark for Team Tanso and John Kenny completing the field. So the field making its way round the circuit now, Ed. We look back from the Porsche of Scott McFall, who has a bit of pressure on his back here with starting at the very front of the field, but I suppose it's just one of those with these drivers. They manage to soak it up very well, don't they? I don't know quite how they do it, to be honest with you. As soon as I'm near the front of the field, which is not often, I just fall apart, just absolutely crumble.
I think that's part of it, Chaz, because it's so routine for them, is that they get used to it, the nerves. It's just another day in the office for them, so they don't have to worry about, oh, I might not get this opportunity again, oh, I'm not used to this. They've done this time and time again, so they know exactly what they need to do day in and day out. So we've got Scott McFall, like you rightly said, setting the pace for all the drivers here tonight in qualifying, and now we'll lead them as they go down back straight in behind the iRacing Porsche safety car. See a lovely blackout livery there.
See, I was going to say, you say lovely. I think chalkboard when I see the Riesdijk Ferrari. It's got absolutely no reflection on it whatsoever. I can't remember what it's called. There's a certain paint that has been devised for cars, basically. BMW trialled it on an X6M a long time ago, and there was no reflection on it whatsoever, and they gave it a certain name. When it is just black. That, I think it's along those lines, Vanta Black, yeah. It's absolutely awesome, but it doesn't quite work in the sim. There's the Mercedes, by the way, of Jamie Dengle that we were mentioning earlier on, with this fantastic sort of car town rug pattern all over it. Looks mighty, mighty wonderful. But the guys are already making their way over the crest of the hill to round the final corner here at Road Atlanta. And before you know it, round 3 of the Tanso Racing Group GT3 Championship is going to get underway. The lights come on, Scott plants his foot and gets a great getaway, actually. Nilton Carvalho has managed to follow him through there, and Matthias Pentela's next to him in the Ferrari. Is Riesdijk going to make it 3 wide down the inside? No, he's not. Thinks better of it. Pentela clings onto life around the outside of the Porsche and somehow makes that one work. That was a fantastic bit of driving. Managed to really, really knuckle down. And here we look at Jamie Dengle again, side by side with Andy White, going through the treacherous turn 3. Is everyone making it through? Well, it certainly looks like it, Ed. Really tidy stuff from these boys.
That was a really lovely move there by Matthias Pentela there, just right around the outside, able to just squeeze the Porsche, but not throw him off and initiate contact as Peter Sikdar there, cold tyres, struggling a little bit to keep the car balanced, and that's again the Lamborghini struggling through the S's for stability. Now here we go, Pentela chasing down Scott McFall, while also having to be conscious of the fact that Nilton Carvalho was right in behind him. I think now they're just starting to sort themselves out. We know the Ferrari actually very strong in a straight line. You can see it's just slowly but surely pulling away from the Porsche while reeling in Scott McFall up ahead. So that's going to be a real benefit for Matthias tonight, is the straight line speed, because he's going to be able to open up a lot of avenues and opportunities in towards the chicane at the end of the lap.
There is going to be a bunch of them as well, actually. You can see a lot of drivers making moves. This is Andy White side by side with Harry Hartley-Price. Harry uses the wider line on the exit, swoops around his Ferrari driving compatriot. Just behind as well, you can see Fernando Matos under pressure from Dan Taylor here in the white and orange Ferrari. Looked like we had Dengle going for a move there down the inside of turn 1 as well. Tries to squeeze past Martin Shirley's Lambo. Martin, though, using that wider line. That's the thing. It's very easy to defend, actually, at turn 1 here at Road Atlanta. So long as you carry the speed into the corner, you can let the car run wide and just use the momentum to just basically rein it in round the hill. And then, of course, by the time you get to turn 3, where you're going to the left-hand side again in the braking zone, you've easily got the sort of priority line to the apex. We see Sean Clark here with the BMW behind. There's been a drama in front. Somebody has gone off the road. It's Vincent Vaught, I believe, or is it? No, Jeroen Pigmans is off now. The number 1 Lambo has gone off the road. Vincent Vaught's had a drama, well, earlier on in the lap, but he's having another one now, and he's going to go straight into the tyre barriers, and wow, that bounced big time. I think it's even broken the rear suspension, actually, on that. Peter Duke has just just rejoined in a rather unsavoury manner, just nearly clips the back of the Lambo. But out in front, Scott McFall, while everyone else falls off behind him, he's managing to just break away that little bit from Pentela. He's opened the gap now to 0.8 of a second.
Good start for Scott McFall this moment in time. The front three starting to break away as well, aren't we? We're seeing a little bit of a pack starting to form as now Nilton's got a gap of around about 1.8 seconds to Daniel Barham in behind him. There's a bit of an incident there on the rise of the crest at the final corner. What has happened here? Scott Brown, no rear wing at all.
Oh,
really struggling to get the car up and running. Let's have a look now. Down on the inside, this was against Peter Duke, and then let's have a look here.
Oh, well.
Is that coming together just on the exit?
Yeah, they both hit the bridge as well. That was a big, big hit for Scott. And it's taken the rear wing off the Ferrari, turned it into the Le Mans spec of the 296 GTB. Let's see, so he's ahead at that point, but he runs a little bit wide. And to be fair, I mean, I think it was Adrian Hadfield actually that he's had the drama with, and Adrian's just driven into the back of him there on the exit. I don't think he expected him to lose that much speed when they came out of the chicane. He was hoping to sort of tuck it back down the inside as they went over the crest, but to no avail there, and the two of them came together. There's been a big drama actually between Peter Duke, Scott Brown and John Kenny as well on this lap. This was after the incident. You can hear it going on in the background. There's a bit of a check-up. And oh dearie me, with three wide here. Peter Duke, whoa, he's lost the back end of the Ferrari. Oh, that's a horrible hit into the end of the pit wall, that. I don't think I've ever seen anybody hit that, actually. Well, that is, well, just very unfortunate placement, I think, is all you can say, really, to be fair.
Yes. Very unfortunate. Also fortunate, though, that the tyre barriers were there, because if it was the solid concrete barrier, that would be a much harder impact.
True.
Thankfully, it was the tyres that he was able to hit, as Pentela on that last lap was around about a tenth or so faster than Scott McFall. So slowly but surely, second closing in on the race leader is Jay Rooney now. Oh, just backing out a little bit there with the car of Peter Sickdart taking full advantage. He not having the best of qualifying, but so far the biggest mover in the field, up 9 positions since the start of the race.
Yeah, Peter Sickdart very, very quick indeed. He was about 2 seconds faster than the guys around him on that previous lap, so he's definitely got this Lamborghini down. He's one of the many quick boys at RD Simsport, just hoping to patiently pick his way through the pack. But there's a lot of very hard braking zones here at Road Atlanta, and when you're chasing a driver that's maybe a bit slower on paper, a little bit less experienced, it's very, very easy to get caught out by early braking and then cause an incident that you really didn't need to cause. So you have to be properly on your wits, basically, when you're chasing these guys down. He's now into the slipstream down the back straight. This is for 18th position. Moves to the right-hand side. He's going to be on the outside for the first part of the chicane, but that's going to be important on the exit. And to be fair, Stuart Brierley says, nah, after you, mate. On you go. It's close here between Dan Wareham and Frederic Reisdijk, though, in the Ferrari. Two very aggressive-looking cars here, actually. The Race Lab Lamborghini for Dan Wareham, and Frederic's chalkboard Ferrari just behind. But in there as well is also the Porsche of Ryan Dudley. So a good trio here away from our top three.
Yeah, and we love to see the battles, don't we, all the way through the field. And apparently for Daniel, he's going to be looking to hold on to 4th place. But it's good to see the variety, isn't there? So many GT3 cars on the iRacing service, and it's wonderful to see so many drivers trying a variety. At the moment, it does seem to be mainly Porsches and Ferraris. This is hang about. Who's out there in the mix? I think trying to get out of the way.
They were just putting a lap on John Kenny there, but I really didn't expect to, especially when looking back from the car, to go around the outside of somebody there, out of all places. You would have thought lap traffic could be dispatched on the straight or something, but no, he was just parked on the apex. Adrian Hadfield, I'm afraid, has had a drama that has ended his race. What's gone on here? He's hit one curb. Oh, he's got the Lamborghini. Well, the Lamborghini looked like he was going to have something to do with that, and then, oh wow, that is a colossal accident. Disappears behind the barriers. We've had more dramas here, actually. Barry Cutting has just had an issue. And Mark Brown and Craig Corish and John Kenny. Oh, no. John Kenny's been involved in this. I hope that it's not just lap traffic trying to stay out of the way and getting innocently caught up in it. This is Craig Corish. Oh, it was. John tries to get out of the way of it all. Craig's had a spin as well. Clipped by the back of the Porsche. Oh, it was just really unfortunate stuff, that, wasn't it?
Very, very unfortunate, as now we're actually seeing it's a breakaway pair. Milton Carvalho has just dropped away a little bit from Pentela at this moment in time, and now it is Scott McFall trying to keep the Finn at bay. Nice exit you can see from the Porsche. Very good through the corners. excellent on the brakes, but the Ferrari straight line speed is going to really benefit Matthias now. You can see that gap closing down. Not going to be close enough to make any sort of move in towards the chicane, but will certainly be able to put the pressure on.
Yeah, definitely. He's just got to fill his mirrors at this point. The two of them are breaking away from the field. They've still got a pit stop to think about as well. So he doesn't have to work too hard here to get ahead in the early stages, because then all he's going to find himself doing is defending for the rest of the race. He may as well just sit here at the moment, use the slipstream. You never even know. Save a bit of fuel. Consider the fact that the pit stop could be a bit shorter. That's how he jumps in later on in the race and manages to take the lead. You've got to just think about the bigger picture in a race like this. It's not a 20-minute sprint. You've got 45 minutes of racing with a pit stop thrown in the mix as well. And the two of them at the moment are just setting the pace. They are 3 seconds clear now of Nilton Carvalho in the other Porsche. But it's great to see these guys fighting, especially after the fact that they're just clattering these curbs so hard here. They've got utter confidence in the car underneath them, haven't they?
Wonderful to see the confidence that they have just to chuck it through the corners. They're once more trying to get a better exit through this corner, because it's so crucial for the run all the way down the back straight. And it's again just around about the similar gap. Actually, it's got a full breaking away, I think, on this lap from Matthias, at least on this occasion. But that gap does often ebb and flow. The driver is having a better lap one time, then maybe making a mistake, getting caught back up. Just a case of the way racing goes around this circuit.
Yeah.
Having a look as well, actually, in the midfield, inside the top 10, there's a great little battle, isn't there? All amongst the action, just for those last few spaces of the top 10.
We've got Byron DeBello there. We've not actually seen his Ferrari up until this point. He's just behind Mark Brown and ahead of Martin Shirley. He's got Harry Hartley-Price in there. I say he's ahead of Martin Shirley, and by the time it's fallen out of my mouth, he's actually lost a place. There's Byron DeBello. Martin Shirley goes through in the Lamborghini. He's actually down 1 place from where he started as well, which tells me that he's got a bit more pace from what we saw in qualifying. But to be fair, Byron's having another go, and round the outside at turn 1 nearly makes it work. Now he's going to be under attack from Harry, just trying to look down the inside, but no. Decides to back out of that for now, follow him down the S's, try and get a run later. What a great, fantastic train of Ferraris we've got there, actually. Ahead of Barry Cutting's Lamborghini. You can see just how the Lamborghini looks like one of the Ferraris that hasn't sort of had the edges sanded off. It's proper pointy bit of kit in it, in comparison to that smooth sort of curvy rear end of the 296.
Alright, then if you want to talk about curves and smoothness, you just need to look one car behind Barry to see Jamie Dengel in the lovely Mercedes. Again, that livery from the one rug that everyone had as a kid growing up.
Except me.
Little Hot Wheels cars around. Except you, Chess, you didn't have one.
Except me? No. Thanks, Mum. But still,
me.
Jamie Dengel in possibly the best sounding car on the grid. The massive 6.3 litre. Is it the 6.3 V8 they still use? I'm not sure if they changed to the 4 litre turbo. No, it's not turbocharged, is it, the Merc? They definitely still use the 6.3 naturally aspirated V8 in the front of it. It's like a bomb going off under the bonnet every time you plant your foot. Jamie Dengel trying to just... Well, Dengel's wrangling, to be fair. He's just getting the most out of the stability of this car. It's something that we've spoken about before. Mid-engine cars, they've got that sort of pointy capability. They're really sharp on the way into the corners. But you've just got that really scary element of instability when you throw it in too hard into a corner. The back end will just use the pendulum effect to bring itself around. When you're in something like this, it's more like you're trying to guide a boat into a harbour, isn't it, with a Mercedes? You've got that massive lump of an engine up front, and you have to sort of coax it in, you know, give it a few treats, and it might actually behave itself. But even then, sometimes you can overdo it in them, and the lack of weight over the rear end can spin the car around. There's been a change here, actually, with Ryan Dudley and Frederick Reisdijk. Ryan Dudley's just got ahead in the Porsche now. I like this sort of military grey machine. Both of them clearly not a fan of busy liveries as they head down towards the chicane again, but Reisdijk using the Ferrari straight line speed now to his advantage.
Yeah, Reisdijk looking towards the inside now, trying to be late on the brakes, but you know the Porsche is so good at just stepping on the decelerator, and now you can see side by side he gets forced to take a compromise line out of the corner, and Reisdijk is able to once again hold on to 4th position there.
I don't think he's... No, he's not. That's definitely... I was going to say that he's definitely got a slowdown in that first part of the chicane there. He cut way too much of the inside line. Went straight across the curb. And that was that. We'll go on board with him again just to show you how much of that curb he took. I don't think that angle really did it justice, but look at how much he cuts here in the first part of the chicane. No chance of you getting away with that, Frederick. You can try all you like, son. but the iRacing gods will look down on you with disappointment in that case. Certainly didn't get away with that. Unfortunately, one of the series admins, or, well, the boss man, John Johnston, has had a drama here. You can see he's got the Aqua Twist branding on the machine. Please tell me his teammate doesn't hit him. He's just dropped it on the downshift through the left-hander and kisses the barrier. Oh, bumper just pops off the Porsche as well. A quick shout out to the championship sponsors as well, by the way. Aqua Twist, Clark St. James, Revive, TVG and TS Livery Designs. Mucho appreciate for the support for the series and, of course, helping this broadcast happen as well. Won't be able to do it without you. Matthias Penteler is, well, he's just sat there at the moment, isn't he, Ed? It's not like he's not working hard, but he's not putting in a colossal effort to try and get past. He's just happy to sit there at the minute and fill that gap, fill the space in the mirrors, and hope that he can do something with the strategy and something with the pit stops in a little bit.
Yeah, and that's, I think, exactly why he's doing this, just assessing the race and maybe saving a little bit of fuel as we come towards the pit stop phase of this race. Whereas obviously you do have that one mandatory pit stop where they take on board a little bit of fuel, so anything that Matthias can save at this moment in time will help him out come the end of the race, potentially leapfrogging Porsche of Scott McFall in the pits if he's able to save enough time by taking less fuel on board. We'll see though. Needs to really nail this corner, which he does, just to keep with Scott McFall and not let the Porsche get too far ahead. A pair of them are working brilliantly together to essentially break away from the chasing pack. You can see he was on earlier there in the number 5 Porsche, just behind the very bright blue and green and black machine up ahead.
Trying to figure out who that is actually. I don't think it's Scott Brown, is it? No, Scott Brown's in a Ferrari. No, John Johnston's a bit further round, so I'm trying to figure out who on earth that is. Because we can't see the number on the car, because unfortunately they've got white numbers on a white number board. Hopefully said car figures out that there's lap traffic trying to get past and moves out the way in just a moment's time. It's 27th place car, Adrian Hadfield, that has just let by Nilton Carvalho. I use the word let loosely, because it didn't seem like he was really wanting to give that one up. Third of the way through the race now, Ed. 30 minutes left to go. We've still got this ding-dong going on in the middle here with Harry Hartley-Price, Jamie Dengle, Barry Cutting and Andy White in there as well. Even Dan Taylor, actually. Dan Taylor's just in front in the Hooters car. I'm sure they'd all like to see it from the front rather than the back, to be honest, but he's the one leading the train around the circuit at the minute.
Taylor, catching performance here to keep those cars at bay. Hartley Price, we know, is going to try and put the pressure on from now until the end of the race. Let's not forget as well.
Oh, hello. Sorry.
Top 10 is not out of the question for a lot of these drivers, as Harry struggles a little bit out of the left-hander, but I think is able to hang on just about ahead of Jamie Dengle. And look at the Mercedes, it's just so confident on the curbs, which is, I think, the real benefit of that car. It's been able to properly attack the corners and not worry too much about the car being unsettled and feeling unstable. It's the same with the BMW actually. I think the highest placed BMW at the moment is driven by Rob Sutherland. That car can really just attack the curbs and get along fine. There's a little look to the inside from the Mercedes. I don't know if that was actually going to be a move. There was a little half look, I think, just to try and throw off the Ferrari more than anything else.
Is there anything more Chaz Joycott media than watching a battle for ages, nothing happening, as soon as they look away it all kicks off? It's just how the broadcasting works, isn't it? We always say this about certain drivers. When we look at them for ages, we're saying, oh, aren't they doing a great job? As soon as we look away, they have a massive accident, and then they just come to us in Discord and tell us off. You can hear the scrub of the tyres from underneath the Mercedes as it's just wanting to break traction that little bit from the rear. Jamie Dengle is dancing this thing on its limits. Stuart Brierley has unfortunately overstepped the limits of his BMW. He's in the revived livery, not sure if he's anything to do with the championship sponsor. Usually you do get sponsors racing in the series that they are a part of. Stuart just recovering now from the gravel in the BMW. Let's see what happened here. He's got a cheeky little Ferrari behind him. I think Sean Clark in there as well. And, oh, have one of them, sunshine. That was the number 17 of Craig Corish. And, oh no, I'm sorry to say it, Ed, but Jamie Dengle's lost a few places. He's gone the wrong way on his little rug. Taking a wrong turn, son.
Barry Cutton.
Ooh,
that's a lot of pace taken. A little bit too much confidence potentially into the corner as Barry Cutton sees the opportunity to go for it. and then
Where's he gone?
I don't think he actually has any contact, does he? He just sort of falls off the circuit.
He never came back on. That's it. Mum's rolled the rug up and put it away. Can't come back from that. Well, he's trying to, though. I mean, he's all over the back of Andy White again. He's recovered quite quickly there. We need to go back to this, because Rob Sutherland has got that god-awful looking Porsche behind him. Mark Brown. Well, he will be grimacing after that one. He's so close to the back of the Beamer. We've then got the Lamborghini of Martin Shirley wanting a piece of this as well. I'm sure he'd love to get past the McDonald's branded machine as soon as possible, because I think I would. Usually the back of the 992 GT3R is a gorgeous car to look at. Not in the case here. Like you said before, Ed, hyper-realistic. It's definitely not the way to go. Someone has just fallen off the road, and that is Daniel Wareham. Daniel Wareham in the Lamborghini is off in the wall. Let's see how he's done this. He's done it all on his own. Again, this is the instability we've spoken about, isn't it? Over the curb, has a bit of a bounce. Oh, wow. It upset itself so quickly, didn't it?
There is like a very nasty bump on that exit curb. You have to go over it every single time and just hope that the car won't be unsettled by it. It's just a very weird, specific point the cars never really get along with. And I think that's just been the case on that occasion, just to be his undoing. Like you say, great little battle all the way up and down through the field. Ryan Dudley is now, I think, up ahead of Frederick Rosedyke there. So we'll have to see exactly how that happened if we can. I'm sure that this battle will continue on from now until probably the end of the race.
It was the move that happened earlier, actually. It happened quite a while ago now, but it was that Rosedyke was trying to get back with him. Rosedyke, oh, dearie me, that's a scary moment to have down the S's. That was a horrible moment as Dudley's having his own. The flipping heck, neither of them want to stay on the circuit here. Rosedyke's thinking, goodness me, mate. He's like, I thought I had a moment, then you've gone and topped me. He's like, watch this, do it again. Now tries to chuck it, and you could see the Ferrari wanting to break away there, actually. As soon as he just dabbed the brakes to help try and tuck the front end in, the back end said no. Ryan Dudley's got to pay to get back in a minute. He's been on the grass for that long. Flipping heck, neither of them want to finish this race where they are. They're very lucky, actually, that they've got a big gap over Rob Sutherland. 9.7 seconds splitting these guys at the minute, so not too much to worry about. So they can smack it onto the grass and coax it towards the barriers all they want, really.
But their last couple of laps are about a second and a half slower than Rob Sutherland, and with the mistakes like that, they're not going to be building any gap at all to 6th place. In fact, they're almost certainly losing time this time around as well. Peter Sickdale, we can see now, just trying to chase down Harry Hartley-Price through the chicane. Lovely to see the cars properly throwing it around in anger.
Oh, I've just remembered something, Ed.
Oh, what's gone on up ahead there?
Oh, there was a car just trying to stay out of the way.
Let by, but yeah, that was a bit risky.
I think that was Vincent Vaughton. Speaking of risky, down the inside, Peter Sickdale says, have one of them. Cheers, mate. Thanks very much. I'll see you later. Wow. Throws it up the inside of Harry Hartley-Price. So Ferrari had nothing in the tank there to respond, but again, this is Peter Sickdale on a bit of a mission here in the Lamborghini, recovering from starting right down the back of the order. We saw him have that spin in qualifying that set him right to the rear end of the field. Race leader Scott McFall is having a bit of a blink in and out. Not sure who's watching Netflix in the household, but clearly he's causing a bit of an issue for him at the minute. Reminds me of James Holman's internet, where I think if he blinked hard enough, the router would get scared and disconnect him. But I was just about to say I've remembered something from the other night, Ed, and it's what we're looking at in the middle of the dashboard on this Lamborghini. Because now I've seen it, I can never unsee it, and I will remind people that the middle vent on that Lamborghini definitely looks like one of those stupid telephone things from the Teletubbies. Just poking up out the dashboard, telling you that whatever the toast was called is ready to go. Frederick Rosedyke is into the pit lane in the Ferrari. Not that you can see the stealth machine. Well, it doesn't really blend in here at Road Atlanta, is it? Or does it, I should say? It'd be good if I could speak English, wouldn't it, Ed?
I can't believe you forgot it was called Tubby Toast.
Tubby Toast? Well, to be fair, mate, the way I eat it is always Tubby Toast, regardless.
And Tubby Custard.
Oh, no. No, that's opening too many doors for innuendos, that, Edward. Let's very quickly run away from that, shall we, please?
Shall we?
A full name to you and everything. Yes, we're not. No, this is a one-off.
I'm in trouble now. You've called me my full first name. I'm in trouble now.
Yeah, it's like when my mum calls me Charles. I know I'm in trouble.
When you're in trouble. I'm gonna keep away from that because I'm not loving that, and I'm definitely not loving the horrible grimace-coloured car right in behind Rob Sutherland. Rob's certainly not going to be loving it, is he? He's
it's the face on the bonnet. It's horrible.
It gives you the chills, doesn't it, up your spine? Ugh.
It just looks like someone's tried to do Lightning McQueen really badly. Just got this grin on the bonnet. Looks absolutely terrifying. But still, I suppose it's a way of unnerving your opponents. It's like when they always say in football that the keepers always have really like bright neon kits, don't they, to try and put players off when they're attacking them. He's just decided, you know what, I'm going to put a character from McDonald's all over my car and that'll scare people off. Yeah, sure, sunshine. Give us a Happy Meal on your way through. Byron DeBello trying everything he can to get past Martin Shirley. Put himself on a bit of a compromised line there. I really like what Byron's done with the number boards on this Ferrari, actually. He's got the Slava Ukraini branding all over it, but he's actually got the Ukrainian flag as the number board on the side of the car. I think that's really cool. Anyone that knows me well enough knows that I'm an absolute stickler for number boards, and I hate it when people get it wrong, and it really upsets me more than it should when it's not my problem. But Byron DeBello has properly got this right. And to be fair, it looks like he's got the Lamborghini sussed as well, as Scott McFall has somehow had an accident, or has he? He said that he crashed, so he came to a stop somewhere.
I think it might just be the blinking that's potentially...
Yeah, it's thrown something out, hasn't it? Yeah.
Going into the corner and then blinking and reappearing.
Yeah.
That might be
man.
what upset it. Just the touch, but...
It looks like he's had damage, though.
On.
The front left's got a big dent in it. That front left has definitely been pushed in. The headlight isn't quite how it should be. He's definitely had some contact somewhere. I'm not sure if there's a bit of lap traffic being a pain in the backside for him. The pit lane's busy at the moment, by the way. We've got the likes of Craig Corish, Terry Atkinson, Stuart Brierley in there as well, Vincent Vaughton, John Kenny, although John Kenny's been in there for a few minutes. Ryan Dudley is just making his way in now in the Porsche. Comes in from 4th position. And let's keep an eye out, actually, for Frederick Riesdijk, because he was the guy that was trying to chase him down in the 296. How long was Riesdijk in the pits? 17.6 seconds. It looks like everybody's stationary for less than 20 seconds at the moment. So Frederick could gain a place here if he's had a decent enough outlap. Ryan Dudley has just got to his pit box now. Will remain on board with the Ferrari. It's black on black on black, this thing, isn't it? It really is Vanta black. I'm so glad that you got that right, Ed, because I couldn't for the life of me remember what it was called. Ryan Dudley still stationary, 19 seconds, 20, 21 seconds and gets going. I'd argue that Riesdijk is going to have jumped him here because he's gained about 3 seconds on him in the pits alone. And look at that, Dudley's barely even in sight. Riesdijk pulling an absolute blinder with that stop there. And Dudley, well, he's made a bit of a mess of that one, to say the least, unfortunately.
Wonderful stuff, and now that he's clear of the slipstream, this could be very crucial to try and use that straight line speed the Ferrari has to pull a gap. As into the pits comes our race leader Scott McFall, and that promotes the Finn. Matthias Pentila into the lead of the race. Nilton Carvalho up into 2nd and behind him, but the gap is around about 8.5 seconds. Now though, Matthias is going to catch some traffic at an inopportune time. And this could be the reason why Scott McFall came into the pits, because he saw exactly what was about to happen. However, it looks like it might actually work out for him, because he's going to catch it on the start, not the start finish straight, but on the back straight. And this could probably help him out actually with some nice slipstream, as long as he's able to get ahead before the chicane.
And the thing is, with no disrespect to the drivers lower down the order, he's a bit higher up as well, so you can expect a little bit more awareness to lap traffic from some of the drivers when you're getting through what Murray Walker used to call the tougher nuts to crack, when they're in that sort of top half of the field. But to be fair, actually, the pace differential isn't as much either. That's something else to consider. He's not really catching up too much with Mark Brown's Porsche at this moment. Just ahead of him is Dan Taylor in the number 26 Ferrari, then Rob Sutherland a little bit up the road. So he's not got too much to worry about right now, Matthias Pentila, but he's not just done 1 lap extra, he's going to do a 2nd lap extra as well. So we'll keep our eye on the graphic on the left, which tells you how many drivers have done their stops. And interestingly, McFall is still ahead of 2 drivers that haven't even pitted yet. That was how big the lead was that these guys have had.
Scott McFall, though, he's caught some traffic at a very inopportune time now and needs to be very careful.
That's Hadfield.
Through the chicane, and that's not helped him out at all. But then again, Matthias Pentila, he's got traffic as well. We just saw him coming through the S's with a couple of cars up ahead. He still has got that Porsche right up in front of him. That hideous Grimace
Sorry, Mark.
livery. It's not hideous to drive with. It's a wonderful car control it's been shown and given us some great battles. But it's just a shame about that disgusting livery.
We'll stop mentioning it at some point, Mark, maybe when the broadcast ends. But look at the slipstream combined with the straight line speed of the Ferrari. It really is a slippery little sausage, isn't it, that thing? It's a very sleek looking car. It's a very thin rear wing on it as well. I always do wonder how it actually provides any downforce to the thing. Mark Brown keeping it very tight till the last moment there, actually, with Matthias Penteler, who gets one hell of a run on the 26 of Dan Taylor, then decides to head into the pits. Probably opportune moment, really, because if he was going to have to fight his way through more traffic, he'd just be losing time in the long run. So Scott McFall is already in second place now in the Porsche, and he's on his way down the start-finish straight. We'll keep our eye on Penteler. Just for reference, Scott McFall's pit stop was 15.72 seconds. So Scott has had a pretty decent one there, actually. Loads of other people sort of between 17 and 22 seconds. Ooh, a little bit early into the chicane for my liking there, Scott. Manages to get away with it, I think. Doesn't need a slowdown penalty. Matthias Penteler now in the box. Let's see how long he's stationary for. Might have been able to save a bit of fuel, but he's gone the extra laps as well. 15 seconds, 15.78. Very similar times.
Gonna go now, but I think McFall is going to be all the way around the outside of him. And yes, McFall up into the lead of the race once again. Penteler, I think, just got caught up in a little bit too much traffic, and that has seen him drop back now over a second to race leader Scott McFall.
Scott's got to keep it on the island for the rest of the race, though. There's still a lot more lap traffic where that came from. Loads of hurdles for them to overcome in the next 16 minutes of the race. There's been a drama here for Craig Corrish, I'm afraid. This gorgeous number 17 Ferrari. Now, we've discussed this before, haven't we, Ed? The blinking in and out like that isn't always a connection-based issue, but that can also be hardware not sort of communicating anything to the server. So he's had some sort of screen freeze or some CPU issue there, and the car has just spat itself at the scenery in very dramatic fashion, actually. He didn't hit the wall that hard, but it bounced off it a few times, to say the least.
Yeah, very, very dramatic moment there. It's just the car really did not want to respond whatsoever, but Martin Shirley, we were following him now, and his pursuit of DeBello up ahead. Ooh, very careful to keep the car in control, because you can see just chucking it through that corner at the end of the S's. Really unsettled the rhythm of the car. As I think that was Jeroen Pigmans as well, who was having a similar moment.
This is looking back from Rob Sutherland. There is a Ferrari or two just tucked away under that rear wing there. I was sort of moving my head to look over the top of it as if that would make a difference. But Rob Sutherland has gained 6 places from where he started. The biggest mover in the field is undoubtedly Peter Sikdar. He's gained 16 spots after starting 28th on the grid. He's having a run on his way into the top 10. Dan Taylor, actually, in 9th place, has gained 10 positions as well. So he's had a really solid run of it. But the 296 is such a great looking car at the front. It's just a shame about the back of it, because it's just like I've always said. It's like Mercedes and Bentley had a bit of a hand in designing it when nobody wanted them to. It's just, it doesn't match the front end of the car. It's like two different companies have made either end of it and glued them together really badly. But still, we don't have to worry about that on board with the Lamborghini. We just have to worry about the Teletubbies scenery on the dashboard. Martin Shirley seemingly a bit indecisive here, actually, when he wants to sort of look down the inside, try and get a run on the Ferrari, and when he wants to sort of hang back and play it safe. He's like there's a bungee cord on the back of that Ferrari, isn't there?
Yeah, it's so difficult when you're in these long car trains battling away, as now Martin Shirley has an opportunity with a good run, but look at how wide he takes it over the grass, and that actually slows him down. He had the opportunity to catch up to the Ferrari if he was just maybe a little bit more cautious on the throttle, but saw an opportunity, fully stamped on the power, and that dragged him out a little bit too wide. Now that Ferrari with its straight line speed should be able just to pull away from the Lamborghini, especially in behind that BMW. Isn't really the quickest thing in a straight line, because it's just punching a huge hole in the air for the Ferrari to take advantage of.
It's like throwing a tower block down the start finish straight and then thinking, oh, you know what that needs? A wing for even more drag. It's just a colossal monster of a car, the BMW. But Rob Sutherland making it look as quick as it naturally is. It's a very potent race car, don't get me wrong. It's a face only a mother could love, the front of that Beamer. As now Martin Shirley's got the run out the final corner, gets alongside Byron DeBello, but Byron closes the door, says, no thanks mate, you are not coming through. You've got to think that Rob, if he's looking in the mirror enough here, will maybe think, could I slow him down into it? Could I just sort of push him back into a little bit of a fight? Rob actually mentioned earlier on that he's messaged me on Discord saying that it's a great series for the guys all through the sort of iRating spectrum, you know, whether you're a bit further down in the iRatings or whether you're 7,000 like Matthias Penteler, but it's a social evening for racing basically. It's just the guys having a lot of fun, and John Johnston has told me that already as we've been organising the broadcast. You know, it's a very fun environment for these guys just to do a bit of racing, and in potent race cars as well, with a decent format that gives you every element of a usual GT3 race. So it's great to see it come together like this, and I'm sure the guys will be happy having the broadcast.
Certainly hope so. It should be very exciting.
That sounded like, yeah, they should be grateful. Flipping heck. They better had be. They better had like the broadcast. Yeah, God's sake. Who's that that's just disappeared?
Ooh, just trying to take advantage there of... Is that up ahead of him? I think that is Matos there, is it?
Yes.
It's a little bit unsteady on the exit, and now that Ferrari, look at how quick it is in a straight line. Wow.
It's just vile, isn't it? Look at it. It's like it's a GTE car in comparison, because they were pretty nifty in a straight line. Although, can he outbrake Fernando Matos? Fernando going as deep as he dares on the brakes. A big cut of the corner by Andy White. Matos still tucks in to try and give him room. Nope, nothing doing this time. The Brazilian holds true in 15th position. He's gained 5 places himself actually in this race so far. Started 20th on the grid, so he's not having a bad night of it at all. I usually do say if you can sort of finish the race in the same position you started or above, it's always a good night at the office, to be fair. Match your qualifying pace, so to speak. Andy White though, just trying everything he can to find a way through past the Porsche, but again it's two cars that have got different strengths and weaknesses, isn't it, Ed? You've got the Porsche, which is really good through the windy bits, great at getting the power down on the exit of the corner, but the Ferrari's not bad on the brakes, and it's very, very slippery in a straight line, so it really does wrangle up to the back of any of these things in the easiest part of the circuit.
Yeah, it does. It's a nice stable platform, I think, because of the longer wheelbase through those corners.
Yeah.
Which really seems to help it out. It struggles a little bit on this one here, where you need to get that quick direction change, but actually Andy seems to get a better run this occasion on the Porsche, and is a bit closer as well than he was last time, so he should be able to make the move stick a little bit easier this time.
Tries to move to the right hand side. I've just noticed as well the branding on the 29 car Fernando Matos. It's one of the Racing Without Limits drivers. There's a couple of disabled sim racers in the field this evening who are using either changed or modified hand controls, and using different equipment to make their life a lot easier while racing with disability here on iRacing. It's fantastic to see them still giving it a go, getting amongst the battles as well. Fernando really holding true here against Andy White. It's great to see them flying the flag for the drivers with disabilities as well, so hats off to them.
Absolutely. Scott McFall, hats off to him. He's been flawless, hasn't he, leading from start to finish, if it continues on the way it has been, because he's got now 2 seconds to Matthias Piantella in behind. He's tried to fight with him earlier on, but I think after the pit stops he's just not really been able to close up. It might be down to traffic, it might be down to just the pace as well of the Porsche that he's trying to catch up to. Either way, it's been very, very dominant from Scott so far.
Yeah, it's been absolutely amazing stuff by Scott McFall, just so consistent lap after lap, and around a circuit like this as well, it's not easy. It's one of those tracks that all it takes is one lap of just pushing that little bit too hard and a curb will send you into the stratosphere in something like a GT3 car. It'll bottom out very quickly, as we've seen from a few drivers tonight, and that'll be it, and you're in a barrier. Battle continues with Fernando Matos, Andy White, and now Dan Wareham getting in this one as well. Andy tries it down the inside. Dan can maybe see an opportunity on the exit. No. Decides that is not the right time to go for it in the number 173 Lamborghini. 3 very different cars here, pushing on to make the most of their strengths, while the others are hindered by their weaknesses. Dan has actually dropped a lot of places. Let's not forget he started high up in the order as well as, oh no, Matos has gone off one way, and oh look at that, Andy White goes to the right hand side. Dan Wareham says, thanks very much boys, I'll go straight through the middle. That was brilliant driving by Dan White, Dan Wareham. Absolutely opportune as you like. Brilliant stuff.
Wonderful. Here you can see a great view of it here from Daniel Wareham.
You'll see Fernando just gets a little bit of a wobble mid-corner, carries too much speed, and then, well, Andy just moves over to the right in respect and giving space for him to come back on, and Dan says, nah, stuff that, we'll pop the Lamborghini through there, cheers boys, and off he goes. Great good at driving.
Wonderful, wonderful stuff there. Rob Sutherland following him as well. Been in amongst a lot of the action so far tonight, hasn't he? And he's up 7 places from the start of the race. Not the biggest move though. That honour goes to Peter Sikter, who has gained an astonishing 18 positions since the start of the race.
He's now into the top 10 as well.
Great drive up inside the top 10. Yeah, brilliant stuff for him.
And I suppose, you know, for a driver as capable as Peter, sometimes it could be quite fun to start from the back of the field and sort of make your way through. He knows that there's a bit of a spread of pace in the field, you know, that there are drivers that on paper he will be quicker than, but it's a bit of a challenge to sort of test your patience as well, trying to go through that slower traffic. Like I said before, you can get caught out by people braking early, people maybe taking a different line or getting on the throttle a little bit later. You have to be so versatile when you're making your way through lap traffic like that, or even just overtaking people that are around you on circuit where you normally wouldn't be. So it's been a great display of that patience by Peter, and he's continuing on now to try and gain another place, because Mark Brown is the next driver in front of him. Not much in terms of a gap with their iRatings actually. Peter Sikdar 4.3k, Mark Brown 3.1, so both very capable drivers, it's safe to say. As, oh no, Andy White, I'm afraid, after watching him battle earlier, has just had a bit of a drama here, Ed. Oh, he's just pulling over. Oh heck.
Very weird.
Oh, I hope all is well with Andy, but a voluntary retirement it seems there, so I'm not sure if he started having some hardware issues or technical problems, but yeah. Unfortunate to see him retire like that. It wasn't a big incident or anything coming awry in the battle that he was having with Fernando Matos. Just the car seemingly wasn't playing ball anymore.
It is very, very strange. Meanwhile, what's not going to be strange is this battle, is it? Rob Sutherland, he has been getting caught lap after lap by the Bello. Oh, look at that cheeky little look at the inside. There was a tiny slither of a gap, but that was quickly closed, as I think, to be fair, Rob was already committed to making that apex, and
yeah, absolutely.
Bello basically had to get onto the brakes to make sure there wasn't any contact.
Yeah, it was very, very close there, and to be fair, Byron did a good job to back out of that one, but it's not usually the place where you'd go for a move that late unless you're already semi-alongside from the right-hander before it. He's also got Martin Shirley and Dan Taylor behind him as well to think about, so he's got company here. It's not like he can throw it at the back of that BMW without consequence. He's now actually under pressure from Martin Shirley. Martin's got a great run out of the chicane, and through all of this, Dan Taylor's got a great run on the pair of them as well. Looks to the inside to fill the mirrors slightly down towards turn 1. Byron DeBello running a little bit wide, Martin Shirley also running wide. It's a terrifying corner, turn 1 at Road Atlanta, and he's actually going to go for it down the inside. Is Dan Taylor into turn 3, finds a gap down the inside of the Lambo. Great space given by the two. There's a bit of a squeeze on the exit though, a little bit naughty by Dan Taylor. Doesn't give all the room in the world, and a great save by Martin Shirley to get away with that one, but you'd imagine that Martin not too impressed with that there, because there was a lot of space and respect given until, well, there wasn't.
Yeah, basically. How the race goes, as we are now into the final 5 minutes. We can have another look here with Dan Taylor.
Let's go for a good old chopper. We love a chopper.
We love a chopper cam. Let's have a look all the way around the outside to then get the inside line. How close they get all the way down through the S's.
Oh.
And just a slight little nudge.
That is so close. But at the end of the day, the Lamborghini of Martin Shirley was pretty much on the white line on the left of the circuit, so there's not really much more he could have done. Sean Clark has been for a day at the beach, but recovers to the circuit again. He's in 19th place at the moment, just ahead of this battle actually, with Rob Sutherland, Byron DeBello, Dan Taylor and Martin Shirley involved. But Scott McFall only has 4 minutes of this race left to go now, Ed, and he's got a 2-second lead over Matthias Pentila. It's looking good at this stage.
Very good for him at this moment in time. Less than 4 minutes to go, and traffic in between him and his main rival. Scott McFall be on for a very comfortable race of victory here, as long as he makes sure there are no mistakes from now until the end of the race.
With 1:18s being the laps, I was just going to say, are we going to get 2
laps? 2 laps.
I think, is it going to be... Oh, I can't do maths, mate. It's a Friday night. I can't do maths. You're joking. I think we're going to get this one and 2 more.
Yes.
Yeah, 2 more after this current lap that he's just started. So we'll be interested, it will be interesting to see if there's any drivers that have sort of fallen short of the fuel, because they will be doing almost a full extra lap. They're going to cross the line with, well, less than 20 seconds left to go, I'm sure, in a lap or two's time. So it's almost what you'd consider a full lap extra. I know they have to do the full lap, but it's when you look at how it slots into the time period of the race, basically. So they've got quite a distance to do. Peter Sikdar is now ahead of Mark Brown, by the way. He's overtaken him for P9. Let's have a look at how he got that done. Mark moving one way, then the other. Peter doing the same. Well, Mark, to be fair to him, he went to the left, and then he's gone back over to the right-hand side. Peter Sikdar just late on the brakes, throws it down the inside of the Lamborghini into a commanding position, and then Mark can't do anything about it on the exit. Feisty stuff. Jay Rooney and Sean Clark have just swapped places in the middle here. Sean's just lost another place. No, he's not actually. I was going to say he's lost a place to Jamie Dengle, but Jamie's actually lapping him in his fight with Harry Hartley-Price. So lots of lap traffic to think about here, actually, Ed. There's 3 different laps that these guys are on. Matthias Pentel is just on the fastest lap of the race. He's done a 1:18.24 with effectively 2 laps to go here. So he's suddenly turned the wick up for a second, the Ferrari.
He really has, but it might just be a little bit too late for him. You can see the gap between himself and the Porsche of Scott McFall up in front, really using all of the circuit though on the exit, wasn't Matthias? He was really going for it, trying as much as he can do, but I just don't think he'll be able to be close enough coming on to this next final lap. As you can see now, with 1.5 minutes still to go, we should be able to see Scott McFall take the white flag at the end of this lap.
Yeah, and the gap's gone back up to 1.7 seconds now as well. I was going to hint at the fact that Matthias Penteler may have saved a couple of off-tracks, a couple of incident points, and maybe even just made sure that he was safe on fuel before properly gunning it to the end, you know, if he'd cut it a bit fine. But Scott McFall has been flawless so far in his performance, and he will have just 1 lap left to go. And you know what? I said they were going to cross the line with about 20 seconds left. Clearly, I can't do maths on a Friday night because he crosses the line with 1:05 left to go. So almost an extra lap just fitting into this 45-minute race timer here. He's got a Ferrari in front of him there. Not quite sure who that is, actually. It's not Vincent Vaught, is it? Is it Scott Brown? I think it's Scott Brown, isn't it? Yes, it is. He's just trying to make his way through. Oh, Scott's not doing him any favours there. Scott on Scott battle here, and it's not really something that should be a battle. The gap is now down to a second back to Matthias Penteler. No, but Matthias is off. Matthias overdoes it through the left-hander over the crest of the hill. That's not going to have gone down well at all. To be fair, Scott's actually made his way through the traffic. There's contact as well with the 19 machine of Vincent Vaught. He's just disappeared. Where's Penteler in all of this? He's stuck behind the other Ferrari right now. This is suddenly coming alive in the last moments here. I thought this battle was well and done, as we both hinted at, but no, the 21 Ferrari sticking himself amongst this. It's not the 21 Ferrari at all, actually. It's the number 13 Ferrari. It's unlucky for some, and it's more unlucky right now for Scott McFall than it is Matthias Penteler. A couple of corners to go, Ed.
Yeah, unwanted drama for the Scotsman, but he seems to have weathered the storm fine enough because he's not close enough, Matthias Penteler, to be any sort of threat. Scott just needs to safely navigate the final corner, and he will win the 3rd round here tonight.
Absolutely brilliant stuff by Scott McFall. It was very, very close at the end, but McFall wins. Penteler second in round 3 of the Tanso Racing Group GT3 Championship. Nilton Carvalho has had a very under-the-radar performance tonight, but I tell you what, I'm sure he'll be happy to take a podium in the number 5 Porsche. And he's got a very safe advantage. 16 seconds back from Penteler, 20 seconds clear of Frederick Riesdijk, and he's actually ahead of Rob Sutherland, Dan Taylor, Martin Shirley. Where on earth did Ryan Dudley end up? Dudley came in for another stop and has, had some sort of drama at the end of the race there by the look of it, so not quite sure what's gone on there. Riesdijk across the line, he finishes in 4th position, and then it's another 22 seconds back to Rob Sutherland, who's going to complete the top 5. So those guys right at the front end of the order, Ed, they just disappeared over the horizon. What a fantastic drive by each of them.
Really strong stuff. You can see now Rob Sutherland just with 1 more corner to go, and he will finish inside the top 5 with the top 5 finish. Great stuff there from nice-placed BMW driver of the night, Dan Taylor. Great drive from him as well at 13 places in the Hooters Ferrari. Mark Brown rounds out the top 10 there, just ahead of, well, I was going to say just ahead of,
it was Harry Hartley-Price, yeah, in the Ferrari, as Sean Clark pushing one of the Lamborghinis across the line there. Actually, that was Barry cutting, and he was clearly cutting it fine on the fuel. He's needed a bit of a push to complete the race. I'm pretty sure Is that not all the drivers over the line, though? Scott Brown and Stuart Brierley are still circulating. No, is there one more car? Dan Wareham's come into the pits. Ryan Dudley has completed the race. And yes, that is that. So he was the final car across the line, clearly throwing it in the wall in a bit of frustration there, which is understandable because he was running very high up earlier on. Here is your result then for round 3 of the Tanso Racing Group GT3 Championship. Scott McFall takes the win by just 0.7 of a second from Matthias Pentila, with Nilton Carvalho completing the podium. Frederick Riesdijk and Rob Sutherland complete your top 5. A minute down though, Rob, in the end. No disrespect to Rob, but you know, it just shows you the pace of those guys at the front. Dan Taylor finishes in 6th position, with Martin Shirley just behind him, only a second covering himself, Shirley and DeBello. Peter Sickdar was in 9th place, with Mark Brown completing the top 10, with Harry Hartley-Price in 11th. Then it was Jamie Dengle in 12th, Barry Cutting finished in 13th, and Ryan Dudley was the last car on the lead lap. Behind him was Daniel Wareham, with Fernando Matos and Terry Atkinson, with Jay Rooney and Sean Clark 1 lap down. Then it was Scott Brown, not a Dutch version of Scott, with Stuart Brierley next up and Jerome Pigmans joining them 2 laps down. Then it was Adrian Hadfield 4 laps down, Andy White 6 laps down, and then Craig Corish, Vincent Vaughan and John Kenny. Not having the best of nights for those guys, unfortunately. But a very lively race there, Ed. Plenty going on all throughout the night here at Road Atlanta. It's exactly what we expected from GT3 racing, and a lot of fun was had by all, I'm sure. But what a great drive that was by Scott McFall.
Really excellent drive there. It was by the Scotsman, like you rightly mentioned, dominant from start to finish, wasn't it? Leading every single lap, bar the laps where he was off-centred from Pentila in terms of the pit stops, but still great racing, great entertainment given to us for our first broadcast here in the Tanso Racing Group GT3 Championship.
Absolutely was, and that is unfortunately all we have time for here tonight on Chaz Draycott Media. Thanks again to the championship sponsors Aqua Twist, Clark St James Revive, TVG and TS Livery Designs. Thanks also to the organisers for getting us on. We hope you've enjoyed the show. Thanks very much, Ed, and I've been Chaz Draycott. This has been the Tanso Racing Group GT3 Championship from Road Atlanta. We'll see you again very, very soon.
4 French drivers at the French Grand Prix trying to win this on the final lap. They're 3 wide again. Guillaume down the inside. Guillaume moves across. They're both in front of Milan and Pouget.
But before you know it, we find ourselves here in the very final race of the competition.
And then they see truck racing and they think, this is crazy. You know, these are 5-ton machines, 1,200 horsepower brake. Oh, look at that switchback. Oh, you can look and the drift is going off. Ben Gregory now, I love this. 10.5 minutes gone. Senna Lanson tries to go for the race lead.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.